back to you, Basil.
Back to me. We're off of music questions now, right?
Yep.
Hmm.
All right, so now we'll move more on to actual gaming things. My first question is, are there any characters outside of Fox that are going to be playable?
During the single player, you will only be playing as Fox, although in the multiplayer, you'll be able to select different pilots.
That's exciting. I guess that was a pretty quick question.
Yeah.
Next
Yeah.
question. Which characters are confirmed for an appearance?
In Release 1, you will see the Star Fox team as of Star Fox 64, and you might see two or three new characters.
Ooh, new characters.
New
Hmm.
I
characters
like new
as
characters.
if.
Can't really
Like,
go into
Yeah.
detail on them, but
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
hmm Oh, my next question kind of was already answered. It's more about the storyline and how it relates to the Star Fox games, but you've pretty much already related that you can't say much more about it.
Yeah. Um, which means
I
I've.
I can say this though, it's not really tied heavily to any of the specific games. It kind of chronologically falls between Star Fox 64 and Star Fox Adventures, but at least as of this point, we're not tying too much directly to either of them.
I see.
hmm.
Okay. Um, what do you guys hope to accomplish by releasing the game to Star Fox fans around the world? And were you more interested in creating a game uh, to give fans and gamers more things to shoot at and levels to explore, or were you more interested in expanding the Star Fox storyline?
Hmm.
Well, when the project actually started, it was a very simple idea and didn't really have any complex goals at first. The original starters of the project, their original idea was to put an R-wing into Free Space 2 and make a couple of simple levels for it. But then as they started getting into it, it got more and more interesting from not only from people in the Star Fox fan base, but from people in the Free Space community as well. And as soon as we started posting screenshots and videos that nobody had ever seen from Free Space 2, it started getting a lot more attention. And we've got people on the team that actually have never played Star Fox until they saw this project. And well, really, what the goal is, we want to make people aware of one of the greatest video game series out there, even the people that don't have a console. And we also wanted to show other modders what can be done with the old Free Space 2 engine. You could say we're trying to create a fun console game, quote unquote, experience for PCs. And so pretty much it's more focused on gameplay rather than story, really.
Cool.
Hmm.
Awesome. Um, are there any ideas you'd first developed or were considering that weren't able to make it into the finished plans due to time restraints, technical restraints, or simple disagreements?
There really wasn't. I'm sorry. There really wasn't much in the way of disagreements. Pretty much we've all kind of had the same track of ideas. But with Free Space 2 engine, we have run into a lot of technical limitations. Free Space 2 and Star Fox are radically different games, despite both being related to space combat. Um, the coders from the Free Space 2 source code project have helped us a lot and have added many of the features that we needed, but there are still some things we need help, and they would mean a lot of rendering code would have to be rewritten because a lot of it's graphical. And really, the main thing that we have to work on right now is getting the landscapes done with the old Free Space 2 engine because that engine did not initially support landscapes. If you play through Free Space 2, you'll never see the surface of a planet. You're just all in deep space, and so we had to put a city in and all of this stuff. And so what we essentially did was made big ships, told the game they were ships, and made them look like landscapes pretty much. But
Mm.
we're still having to,
That's pretty good.
yeah, we're still having to work some of that out because every once in a while the landscapes will behave more like ships than landscapes, and so we have to work things out. So
Well, that's interesting. They still look pretty good for that.
yeah, and unfortunately we're not able to put the city out in release one. It just some of these issues have just backed that up
Yeah,
to a
the
later
city
release.
does look pretty good, and I'll be excited when you guys can figure out how to get that in there. Um, I think we're gonna hand it off to Bazea now.
Yes, finally, I get the last couple of questions. Um, all right. I'm not sure if this has been indicated, but okay, question 7, I guess. Will the Blue Marine or the Landmaster be used in the game? Question mark, question mark, question mark.
In
Landmaster.
release one, the R Wing will be the only vehicle you can play. In release two, if we can do Landmaster mission, we might. At this point, it's not technically possible. As far
Right,
as the
like,
As far as the Blue Marine, I cannot confirm nor deny anything about that.
Okay.
Okay.
I had a feeling that was what the answer is going to turn out to be once I learned more about the Free Space 2 engine. All right. How does gameplay involving freighters or other vehicles other than the standard R-Wing differ from flying an R-Wing or playing as an R-Wing?
Well, as a player, you won't be able to control the capital ships directly. I mean, you can give them orders, but you can't really fly them per se. You will still have to fly a fighter and either protect them or ask them to attack something, but you can't directly control them.
Okay, that sounds like it has a little bit of tactics involved in there, and it's always very interesting. How does the Free Space 2 engine compare to engines used in 64 or Assault or other notable Star Fox games?
Well, there's not really a whole lot that we know about the game engines of the console games, but pretty much we're creating a game with the tools we have. Well, I'm pretty sure that the official developers out there created the tools and the game. They probably have their own engines they created for it, but we're having to use what we have available. And we're using an editor that was meant to create missions in space, to create missions on planets, as I mentioned earlier about putting the landscapes in as giant ships with high mass and no AI. And then current PC hardware, of course, is more powerful than any of the current consoles, so we can use larger textures and shaders, but there's still a lot of limitations. There's still some things that, like planets in the last mission from Andross's Animate, and Andross's face in the last mission of SNES. You know how all those plates came together and formed his face? We can't really do anything like that at this point.
All right. Estimating how long the game will the end product turn out to be?
Well, I can't really speak for the later releases because those are still in the planning stages. But with release one, the single player unfortunately is going to be kind of short. But one of the big things we're going to push with release one is the multiplayer support. And so a good player should be able to complete the final game probably in a day. But we've been thinking about adding a few features to increase replay value.
Right. Will all-range mode be a feature?
Yes, definitely. Those of you that have played Free Space 2 probably already know this answer, but yeah, definitely it will be a feature because the way Free Space 2's engine is originally coded, it's all, quote, all-range missions. You could fly anywhere in Free Space 2. Although we have figured out a way to restrict that movement to recreate the on-rails type gameplay in it. It's kind of a hackish way that we came up with doing it, and seems to be working interestingly. In fact, that recent trailer actually shows some of that. But definitely there will be all ranged because that's the way Free Space 2 was designed. And multiplayer missions will definitely use it. We'll use the original all range type design. Ground missions, we're probably going to stick to the corridor mode that we created.
Okay. And one of the questions I'm most excited about, I have to confess, is there an official artist or any official artwork that 3D models are based off of?
We do have a couple of people who have sketched out concept art for us, and so we've used that to build the models off of. And then we've also of course taken screenshots of models from the games and then kind of based our own models off of those. But we didn't rip anything and put it straight in. Everything that we've got in there is original.